to ask yourself, are you really willing to put blood in the water? And the physical, and it is physical courage, and sometimes moral courage that is required to do such a thing, to break a story like the one Eric talked about, where maybe a teacher resigns or something, and to impact to impact society. Saul Alinsky says that change means heat, and heat, movement and heat causes friction, and friction happens when there's conflict. And that creates controversy. And only in a frictionless vacuum can you do anything without creating conflict. So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to put blood in the water? Are you willing to cause change? And most people, I'd say 99% of people are unwilling to do that. I'd say 90% of the people in this room are unwilling to do that. So the first thing you have to do, as Andrew Breitbart was all about, was being a nonconformist, being non-compliant, being different than other people, being comfortable with being different. That is the struggle of the citizen journalist. The 5 W's and reporting the fact, that's the easy part. I mean, that can be learned. But what you have to do is you have to adopt that spirit, that you're willing to be hated, that you're willing to cause change, that you are going to be called a liar by very, very credible people. Are you willing to stomach that? Most people can't do it. The only other thing I want to say is what is the main sort of course of action? You break your story. You find your teacher, saying that you need to, you must vote for the president to pass your course or whatever. And the second thing that happens, there's a reaction. So, right now we're doing this story. We have done stories on the Second Amendment issue. There's a reaction. That reaction happens, and then when that reactions, there's another reaction. So, for example, if you're doing a story on, we did a story in November, where we caught an Organizing for America office, Barack Obama's Organizing for America, telling us to vote in 2 different places, to vote in Florida and to vote in Texas. And this person, no journalist in America bothered to call up the office and just ask what happened to this person. This talking points memo, this blog, a guy by the name of Ryan Riley, who's not necessarily friendly with me, calls up the Houston office and says, "What happened to your staffer?" She was fired. And that set off a catalytic reaction. When Ryan Riley tweeted or wrote, Stephanie Caballero was let go by the Barack Obama campaign, it made the Associated Press, it made the Houston Chronicle. So what's the lesson? The lesson is you want to break through the media narrative. How do you do that? By causing a reaction. How do you do that? By following up, right? So you have to not only produce the journalism, but it's the reaction to the journalism. And my final point, the most important point, I think, is that you hear, well, we need to create our own media. It's true, you need to create your own media. But your ultimate goal is not to just have this independent media, blog. It's to break through the mainstream media. In other words, winning is getting on NBC News, ABC News, and CBS News. That's winning. That's everyone remembers me mostly for the Acorn story. Why do you remember that? Because it was on NBC, ABC, and CBS News. That's why you know about that. And that's what people, like Breitbart's Wienergate story. That was on CNN, that was on ABC News. So your goal is not to operate in an echo chamber. Your ultimate goal is to actually get covered by the mainstream media. Until you do that, you will lose. That's all I have to say.